to the Black Box App podcast. I'm your host, Kenneth Johnson. The Black Box App is the career consciousness portal for Black men powered by East Coast executives. I'm extremely excited today to have from my hometown, my adopted hometown, the city of Philadelphia, Dr. Stephen Jones. Dr. Jones is currently working at Villanova University as Associate Dean of Student Success and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. He has a whole bunch of other stuff going on as well, and we're going to take a dive into that. But Mr. Jones truly is a leader of young men and women in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here. It's always wonderful to talk about things related to business and education because it all comes together at some point. I was just talking to a student today about how her education here is preparing her for going out and working and being a professional.
Indeed. You know, I think, so it's interesting. I was having a conversation earlier today about that because you have to take that mindset into college, right? As soon as you get on campus, you have to start, in my opinion, kind of considering how your professional pursuits will play into that experience and getting involved with the right people and the right networks and things of that nature. And not just individuals, but campus networking, like join groups and things of that nature and different organizations that are there offering networking opportunities. So we just had this conversation. So Please take me a little bit through your career path, if you don't mind, Dr. Jones.
Right. I just want to add on to your conversation just a little bit before I go to my career, which is to say that I say to the students, you don't have to wait until your senior year to think about your career and getting your resume out and finding a company to work for. You should do that from day one and connect with the Career Center, you know, get your resume together, have a profile on LinkedIn. All of that should start from the very beginning. You're laying the foundation for what's going to happen at the end. Okay, I had to say.
You know. All right. Now let me add. Let me visit that a little. Just to share a story. So we were doing the Future Housing Leaders Program for Fannie Mae with the National Urban League. So I was going around to colleges on the Eastern Seaboard and doing workshops, behavioral-based interviewing, networking, salary negotiation, things of that nature. So the University of Maryland was on our schedule. So we go to the University of Maryland, and that's where I went to school. It was the first time I had ever been in the career center. Wow. The first time I was there as a speaker. I was like, wow, I've never been in here. So to your point, people should take advantage of those resources for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even as alum, again, sometimes alumni forget, because I end up doing recommendation letters and kind of encouraging the alum from the university. You can still use your career center as an alum of a university. And it's a great way to get some advice and to hear where your alum are finding jobs and have someone that's professional. If you can't hire an executive search firm, they're a resource for you as well.
Well, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
They are.
So you can have both. You can have the executive search firm and kind of work as a team, and the executive search firm certainly can be a part of or connected with the Career Center as well. So all of it kind of blends together.
Yeah, it definitely is a multi-tiered approach indeed. You know, I have to do the disclaimer, I guess. I was at Maryland for my freshman and sophomore years, University of Pittsburgh, my junior and senior years. So I did use the Career Services Center at Pitt, though. As I got more mature in my career, I knew I needed their assistance. All right, so since we're in Pennsylvania and I'm speaking about Pitt, let's talk a little bit about the work you're doing. I guess all throughout Pennsylvania, man, you're getting around. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and you're doing some impressive work.
Yeah, so just like stepping back into history, when I was a young person, I really was about community engagement and community and helping our community to be better, to push our young people toward education. I've always had that direction, and I was the first person in my family to go to college. So I really felt got an understanding that I wasn't as prepared for college as I thought I should be. In my first semester, I almost failed out with my GPA. But I went to get help, so that better the second semester. And I say that to all students now that, you know, when you're in college in that first semester, don't think you know it all. Don't think that you because you're at the top of your class that you can't go for help. And so that's what I've been doing over the last 35, 37 years, is working with those first generation low income students who've decided to go to college and need support. In the state of Pennsylvania, we have a program called Act 101 for that first generation low income student that follows them for the whole 4 years to make sure they graduate. So I'm kind of like parents, on the campus and providing them with counseling and tutoring and mentoring and connecting them with faculty and having summer programs. So I did it at Philadelphia University and Drexel University, which are both in Philadelphia, mainly in the College of Engineering. So it's funny because I've always had an interest in science and technology, but I wanted to help people. So I got to do both. I've been helping people. And the very interesting thing is now my students from Drexel are bringing me their children to Villanova. So
I love it.
I've been able to do this long enough to see that. So
wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, by any chance, do you know Dr. Joshua Fredenberg?
Can't say that I do.
You know what? I'm going to make the introduction because I think there's some real synergy. He has an organization, I believe it's called the Circle of Leadership, but their sole focus is to support first generation college students and getting out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I definitely think there's some synergy. He's a guest of the, he's a member of the blkbox app family. So this is really why we do this, so we can kind of connect some dots and showcase the work some great Black men are doing. So I'll let you continue on. Walk us down that.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. So I worked at Drexel University. I left there to run a computer school for adult learners. But I always felt like students don't know how to study. Students aren't taught how to study. They struggle when they transition from elementary school to middle school to high school and from high school to college, because they don't have these good habits. And most teachers teach you their subject, but they don't teach you how to study. So in the back of my head, I said, I need to write a book to help students learn how to study. So after I left Drexel, I started writing the book, and I was working at this other place. I started writing this book, and I finished it. And I said, I'm going to leave my job and start a full-time business of doing study skills and helping these first generation students. And so I did that. And within a year, Villanova called me up and said, we're trying to increase our enrollment and our diversity. Can you help us with our engineering students? I said, well, I have a business. So they contracted with me, and then they said, well, we'll offer you a job.
Wow.
So, when I got there, I just expanded everything. They're like, oh, we need you here. And so they hired me, and then I continued to write books. So I wrote a book on for parents. So it's basically birth through 12th grade, how do I help my child to be a successful student? And then from there, I wrote a book on scholarships that shows you how to find access to over $90 million in scholarships. It has over 100 scholarship websites in it. So, and then I do seminars and webinars around the books and different topics in that area. And more recently, I decided to put together online courses. So you can take an online course on any one of those books. And then I'm also in ministry, and I wrote a book for how to study the Bible. It's a workbook. And I also wrote a marriage book, 10 Keys to Successful Marriage. This is my 34th year in my marriage. So try to get some tips and strategies for that.
Congratulations.
It's been wonderful. Thank you. And so, I continue to this day, still doing the webinars and seminars and traveling all over the country. I'm advisor for a National Society of Black Engineers chapter, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I have a few Saturday program here for STEM. I have a summer program here for STEM. So my life is always full of wonderful activities and events, and just encourage our community.
You're doing a lot of work, my friend. You're doing a lot of work. It's all good work though. So I guess that's the balance right there, right? When you're passionate about it, it's one of those things, right? If you enjoy what you're doing, it's like you're never working, something of that nature. But I would imagine that just listening to some of the things that you're doing, we probably know a ton of the same people in the Philadelphia area that are crossing lines with you and probably working hand in hand with you to support some of the residents out there. So if you were speaking to, when you're speaking to college age individuals or even entry-level individuals, do you have any advice for them in regards to getting into the career space that you're currently in?
Yeah, so you bring up another point. I just want to bring this out. Colleges are a place to work. So a lot of students graduate from college don't think of this as a place to work. We have accountants, we have business people, we have educators, so colleges are places of work as well. And like I said, I've been working here all this time, but in terms of like those first early years, I think that you should be a person of continuing education. You should continue to learn and to grow and to read and to be open. When our parents graduated from their high school or college, they worked in a place for 30 or 40 years. The next generation has been working in places from 10 to 20 years. This new generation works in places from 3 to 5 years. So you have to be very flexible to learning and opening up yourself to opportunity, trying out different things. Definitely, I'm going to say, make sure you have some tech background. Take some tech courses, even if you're studying management or you're becoming a veterinarian, whatever it is, take some tech courses because it's influencing everything. And the more that kind of background you have, even as a young person in your career, the more doors that will open for you. So certainly, growing, networking, making sure you just, have a couple of mentors to start off with that you can relate to, that you can get input from, that can help you with your career as well.
Let's stay there. So how big, and as you kind of navigated your career pursuits, how big was mentorship to you? Were you able to identify mentors? And if so, were you able to identify mentors? And although it's not necessary, but mentors that kind of looked a lot like you?
Oh, yes, definitely identify mentors that look like me. 3 different mechanisms. So I always found somebody on my campus who could mentor me. I found someone outside of my campus who could mentor me. And I I would find someone in my community that can mentor me. So those are 3 various places and venues where I find myself and need support and some wisdom in the decision that I'm making. And those mentors who've already been there can add in that advice.
Sure.
And I think that that's something important, not to have just one type of mentor, to have different kinds of venues where you can get wisdom from these individuals who've been there, who've had experiences.
Yeah, I think people get caught up in the fact that they believe they're only supposed to have one mentor. And I'm like, no, listen, take as many on as you can.
Yes.
And leverage the relationships as well. So for me, and I'm looking at Philly, man, and I'm just thinking about this. So, my father was great. And he was one of those guys, 27 years, 28 years working for a major candy manufacturer. He was in sales for them, key accounts. So he went around to like the big box stores and sold their products. And he was really good at it. That's what he did. So when I finished school, he was expecting me to have a 27-year career at a place, right?
Yeah.
And it just was never my thing. But I ended up, I had the soft landing in Philadelphia and was able to work with some people there that understood my desire to own a staffing firm. And so that's where I grabbed some mentors, and 2 of them were African-American women. An African-American male was the one that taught me executive search, but those were my career mentors. But to your point, I had other people, community mentors, and people just that I just kind of casually knew that I kind of latched onto a little, that were able to help me as well, just in life. So I think that's extremely important. Do you find that starts to be a big part of your job? You're on campus, and campus life is more than just school.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I think I've been blessed to have with whatever I do is a mission. So it's my mission to help students to achieve their academic goals and their career goals. I don't see it as a job. So I'm willing therefore to invest more in helping them to get to those places and answer those questions and to place myself in their feet. Like, what are they going through? What have their challenges been? And recognizing that it's not only the academic side of them, they're people. And so they have family challenges, they have financial challenges, all of those things that need to be met. And if I can offer advice or mentoring or encouragement and answer those questions, that's what I believe my mission here is to do. And my goal is to leave a legacy where others will come in and do the same thing. They'll be those guardians.
Clearly, you're accomplishing that. What was that? 4 books you mentioned? 4, 5? How many books?
There's 5. Yes.
Okay. So, writing for me, writing is, I'm this is becoming a story actually. I'm fine with doing short articles and really small pieces. The book sounds so challenging though. When you embarked on your first book, did you see yourself having a series of books, or was it going to be a one and done?
It was going to be a one and done. I was amazed that I was doing the first one. But here's my secret, just to give this to you. With my books, I start off with an outline of what are my major topics and things I want to cover. So the outline then structures my book. And then all I have to do is write. And I try to write 1 page a day. 1 page a day. And if I'm writing 1 page a day, I'm getting closer to finishing the book.
Got it.
So even if I spent half the year doing that 1 page a day, but what people will do is they will go to a hotel to get away from their family and they'll write for the whole weekend. They'll say, I want to write 1 page a day, they write 2 pages. So over time, it just starts coming together.
Sure.
And sometimes I say to people, depending on what kind of book it is, you don't even have to go in the order that you decide the book will be. If there's a topic that lights your fire, start with that topic in writing the book, because that will get you engaged with it. That will get you encouraged, to do it, to make it happen.
I'm gonna take your advice on that. I like the 1 page a day approach. Someone else shared a very similar statement with me in regards to, actually it was Joshua Fredenberg. He has 7 books. You guys have to meet.
Okay.
I'm going to make the introduction. I think it's a no-brainer. But yeah, I just think, you know what? And I believe he's in the ministry as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different levels where you guys are aligned. So that makes sense. So from your standpoint and where you sit, if you're just talking about offering career advice, typically on the Black Box App podcast, I ask individuals to share 3 pieces of advice. Career advice for entry-level talent or entry-level career seekers, mid-managers, and senior-level individuals. Just 3 pieces of advice, a piece for each, that you believe are the things they should be looking to do at that particular juncture of their career.
So for the entry-level person, be willing to take on some assignments that weren't particularly assigned to you, because they're going to enable you to grow by having those various assignments. Sometimes the person that you report to may not even come to you to say, will you do this or will you do that? You just take the initiative to be open to those opportunities. And also by doing that, you start meeting people around your company and they become familiar with you, and that can open up doors in your future. For the middle level manager, I say to make sure that your network is always expanding, because if you want to get to that senior level, you're going to have those advocates that you need to get you to that level. And you're going to need that level of support from those, and maybe even recommendations as you're trying to rise to that senior executive level. I still say in all of this, continue to grow, learn more, be open to more. And then as a senior level executive, I'm there, give back, make sure that you're bringing along those who are in the middle levels and early levels. Make sure that you're, giving them advice so that they can fill your shoes one day. I'm really concerned about that in the large cities. When you look at the history of affirmative action and so forth, that open up doors for these executives where they're at, and just their excellence. I'll say that they're just excellent, even if it's outside of affirmative action. But I'm concerned that the next time that those executive level hires happen, there won't be people of color because we haven't pushed that next generation to seek those opportunities. So that's why I'm saying to them, I see you as that senior executive bringing in the next generation of leaders and opportunity, and keeping the door open for that opportunity.
You know, I definitely understand what you're speaking of as far as the pipeline of talent to step into the shoes of individuals that may be baby boomers that are kind of exiting out of their corporate roles. As a search firm leader, that's been a challenge for us, you know, just kind of looking back through and finding pools of talent, diverse talent, especially for us, that's Black and brown talent that that's been prepared to move into these roles. So we're starting to find ourselves pushing and sharing soft skills or transferable skills that these individuals have that may be adaptable, just to get them a look. We do believe that they're brilliant, and when they get a look and get an opportunity, they'll impress.
Right.
But if you just look at it on paper, they haven't been given the opportunities to take that next step into that other role. So I understand that piece of it. You speak about continuous learning, and I want to kind of tap into your knowledge here on this. Are there any platforms that you really value or encourage individuals to use as a continuous learning ramp?
Yeah, so there is one, Khan Academy
Yes.
is a place to go. There's also something called MOOCs, M-O-C, I think it's C-K, but they are free courses that universities offer. And you can just take them whenever you want to take them. So you can look at the various universities, put, I think it's M-O-C-K.
Yeah, I know it's MOC, but yeah, I'm familiar, and it's an acronym for something, and I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, so definitely look up those opportunities for growth. And then there are people who are just offering courses, and podcasts are another wonderful way to get some training and follow up. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I think it's needed. And when we talked about those, just had that conversation about the senior level, I'm sure that you're bringing some of those individuals in. So I would say to everyone out there, continue to follow Kenneth Johnson's podcast so that you can get that additional advice and direction, and that you can network with individuals. You have a chat down here, so individuals can put their information and contact. So, why not take advantage of a resource that's opening doors for this kind of conversation?
I really appreciate that. Yeah, our whole reasoning behind the Black Box app and the things that come along with it were just to support, individuals that were looking for support, like really needed that extra step or just some know-how and didn't really understand how to network and connect with other people that had that information and were willing to share. It's just that they didn't have a grounds to connect it through. So hopefully we can be a conduit to some of those conversations, relationships, not just individual to individual, but company to individual, institution to individual. We just believe that some of the relationships that we have organically through the work we do as a search firm could and will support the career aspirations of individuals that are looking to advance. So prime example is showing them and telling them that Dr. Stephen Jones exists and is out here. Grab the book, please. Please let our audience know how to connect with you moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. I am all over the place. I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Stephen Jones. I am on Facebook as Dr. Stephen Jones, Career Readiness and Coach. I have my own website, which is drjonesbooks.com. You can go there and order all these books. When you go there, you order, it takes you to Amazon to purchase those books as well. And on Instagram, I am Education Central. So that's another place that you can, see what I'm doing, what I'm up to. And if you're on LinkedIn and you want to join my group, I have a group that you can join. Just send me your email and I'll put you into my group. And then you'll get to know all the things I'm doing throughout the year. I can keep you engaged with what I'm doing.
Hey, make sure you send me the invite to the group. I definitely want to jump in and be active and support. Once again, Dr. Stephen Jones on the Black Box app podcast. This is what we do. We meet people, we network, we communicate, and then we introduce them to you. And I'm so glad to be able to introduce this gentleman to you today. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to continuing to expand the relationship.